time, if you just joined, say, hey, whatever, what's up, in that participant button you hit. If you're on a phone, there's a chat section, and you can hang out in the chat briefly, okay? All right, I think it's always better to view this on a laptop, but we're gonna proceed. So slow metabolism, is that the reason you can't lose weight? If you've been following me for a while, you'll know it's a myth. Ooh, so I've ruined the suspense. Yeah, nice. Jeremy's gonna troll, even though he sent that privately. Too bad, I'm gonna call you out. So if you're on a phone watching this, by all means, don't turn it off. But if you've got a bunch of notifications coming up and you're distracted, you're not gonna get much out of this. So my suggestion is to focus on me for 10, 20 minutes, whatever it takes to get us through this. You'll retain a lot more of the information, and you'll also be armed with questions if needed as they come up. All right, good stuff. So I'm going to continue on here. Chat, good. All right, so metabolism in 30 seconds. I got to minimize this crap. I'm looking at myself and it's distracting. So body size, a larger body requires more calories. So technically speaking, if you're heavier set, you've got a faster metabolism simply because you require more calories to maintain than someone who is small. Simple math, right? You may have some genetic limitations working against you, and we'll get into that in a second. But by and large, if you've got, 30, 50 pounds to lose, you're in a better position to lose weight than someone who maybe has 5 or 10 pounds, right? Pretty simple. Now, gender factors in, but not as much as most women would think or like to think. So 3% lower than a man's of equal height and weight, just different shift in muscle mass, typically speaking, just by genetics, okay? So, 60 calories a day, it's not a huge difference. However, where women usually go wrong is I'll put a guy on a diet with enough protein, he'll hit his protein, but a woman will have a lot more trouble eating enough protein for whatever reason. It's just not hardwired into you. So that would be the other factor. And we'll get into more in a second here. But that's good news for most of you. Should be. Okay. Making sure everyone is muted. Someone requires some muting. I love when that happens. Okay. Good. Okay, one sec. I'm muting. Good. All right, we're back in the game. So, fat-free mass, right? That is muscle mass, because this includes more than just your muscles, the visible stuff, but your brain burns calories, kidneys, intestines, lungs. They all use energy. So the bigger your body you are, the more calories burned from those processes, right? If you've got your brain doing some work, especially for a heavy thinker, 240 calories a day, roughly, per kilogram. Heart, skeletal muscle, of course, the liver, all these things are burning some level of calories. So just giving you a kind of a bird's eye view of metabolism here. It's not just how much you burn a day. So this is, again, where I spoke about equal size and weight. Men don't have much of an advantage over women. However, when your body composition is this drastically different, where this guy on the right has low body fat, lots of muscle, woman on the left obviously has a bit more weight to her and not of the muscle kind. So the calories she eats, preferentially goes to storage, whereas this guy is burning off in the gym, working out, and just simply repair. So it's not a perfect graph. Don't try to take those numbers too seriously. But what it suggests is you should try to emphasize muscle, man or woman, right? Because it gives you a leg up. It makes maintaining weight loss easier and good stuff, right? Okay, good. So you're all on board for that. So we're going to get more into NEAT again, because I know this is a broken record, but the time you spend in the gym, even if you're putting in an hour a day, 3-4 times a week, it's 2% of your week. What are you doing that other 98% of the time? Most of the time on a computer, on a couch, in a car. The 3 C's, right? 3 sedentary C's. So we want to get you moving more outside of that conventional exercise where you're just getting up and making a habit of walking, moving, doing all these things because it actually has a bigger impact on calorie burn than the workouts. So workouts are important, but for other reasons. Maintaining muscle, health, magic pill for your health, and mental health. So this is a study done. I'm blanking on when it was done, but it compared workers who do strenuous work, agriculture, farmers, then those who do standing work most of the day, versus those who are, in a chair most of the day, right? And you can see the discrepancy in the number of calories burned, drastic. So the difference was 300 calories between seated work and seated work with some movement. But the biggest difference I find is the ones that were standing a lot, 50% increase in calories burned versus those who sat at a desk all day, right? With no option of moving. So you see where I'm getting at here. Desk job may be unavoidable, but making time to get out and move is important. All right. Okay. So people are texting if they can't get in. I'm going to continue on. So this is along the same lines. Again, we're focused on NEAT here. So they overfed a group of people by 1,000 calories more than they needed per day for 8 weeks. That would put on a lot of weight, you would think. However, one gentleman gained less than a pound. One woman gained just over a pound. Well, those on the bottom end of the scale gained as much as 9.5 pounds. And the major discrepancy here was simply their levels of NEAT, non-exercise activity. So the guys in the top half who didn't gain much weight, when they ate more, they compensated for it with more activity, whereas the ones at the bottom end ate more and actually sat more. So move, that's it, all right? So laying the groundwork, okay? So this is for the new people in general, but it's always good to have a little refresher on this stuff as well. And that is to set clear targets, right? A goal without a plan is just a wish. And I'm big on, as soon as you join the program, you get this 90-day fat loss blueprint. You're going to set an outcome goal, which obviously you can't control completely, whether it's to lose 10 pounds, lose 2 inches off your waist, whatever it is, get it down in writing. And then the most important things are those 3-ish process goals that you're going to do each week, each day to move you towards that outcome, right? So that could be 3 workouts per week, eating 180 grams of protein every day, walking 8,000 steps. You get those down in writing, and then the step-by-step here are just kind of reassessing where you're at. Maybe 7 days in, you look at your calories, look at your weight loss. If progress is happening as it should, then you stay the course. If not, you adjust. And that's where we work together on that. So that's why I value when you provide data in the app so that we can make changes when required. All right. So far, so good. Matt's iPhone is on as well. The iPhones are joining by themselves. All right, so get clear, set that 90-day outcome goal. I encourage you to do that now in March, April, May. That'll take you to June. Perfect time for summer, beach season. Then set those 3, maybe you need 5 process goals that you're going to do each week. And then the other nuts and bolts of it is just the progress checking, the weighing daily, tracking your calories as often as you can, and working out, right? Those are the kind of the goals that you can put in place that are those little dominoes that stack up and knock over big dominoes eventually. And this is kind of that X factor I talk about all the time, which I certainly do, and some don't. And I'm not forcing anyone to do it, but put something on the line. Often that helps us consistently follow through. You know, it's the whole carrot versus the stick thing. Maybe you set up a reward 90 days down the line. If you reach your goal, you go on vacation, whatever. Often people are more motivated by consequences, though, where in this case, the author of the Blackmail Diet put $5,000 in escrow. If he failed to reach his goal, the lawyer would gift it to the American Nazi Party, a group obviously he didn't support. So that motivated him to stick it out, lose those 70-ish pounds or whatever it was, so that he got his money back. So that was his driving why and incentive, okay? So right now, I have to text someone at 6:30. If I'm not awake at that time, then I got to run a mile outside, and it's still winter outside. It's actually snowed today. So that's my incentive to go to bed early enough. So have someone checking in on me to ensure I don't have to run the mile. So no one likes running miles. All right. Yes. So people are trying to get in and out. Okay, so if you're still with me, hit the chat box. Say hey. Make sure my volume is good. Shit, yeah. But now we're going to go into the 4 pillars of perfect fat loss. So this is all that stuff that is so critical to the whole process. I've freshened up the slides for those of you who are not new to the program, but this is for those newbies that should be attending, and I don't see them all on here. So they're getting a shameful email after this. All right. Good. All right. Stacy's still here. Good. So this is what matters most. And this grainy picture stacks them up. So I'm going to go into them in more detail one by one. But of course, that big foundation is your diet. Eating less than you need to maintain your weight, consuming enough protein. Right? I don't like looking at my phone. Number 2, weight training. Mainly and primarily to gain and maintain muscle as you lose fat, because that keeps your metabolism elevated. You look better, right? You don't want to just lose muscle and fat and be a skinnier version of your current self. You want to tone and tighten up at the same time. That's what does it. And then of course we want to manage sleep, get enough of it. Otherwise your cravings are going to be out of control. Your fat loss can be affected by that. Of course, stress plays into that. And then the 4th part is, again, the NEAT we talked about, but cardio and conditioning as needed. So number 1, calorie deficit. You can't out-train your diet. Boo, Hearns. Just reality, right? You have got to focus on this first and foremost, and it's got to be a 7-day-a-week thing. You could fluctuate your calories, have a big, fun Saturday meal, eat lower on another day to compensate for that, fine. But overall, you can't cheat the system. You got to be in a deficit over the course of a week to lose weight. There is recomposition that can happen if you're in a maintenance phase and you're training hard. But most people come into a program like this aiming for weight loss, and this is what drives the bus. So pillar 2 is to meet your protein minimum that I've set for you as your coach. Because again, without that protein intake being at a sufficient level, you're going to lose as much muscle as fat eventually. Now, where people get a little tripped up is on the breakdown of carbs and fats fitting into that calorie budget. It doesn't really matter in the end. You saw my Q&A response today. I do prefer carbs to recover from training, and fats are too easy to overeat, but personal preference, whatever works. As long as you're under your calorie budget and you hit your protein, you are in business. Okay, so that's in the app. You'll see the new macro section. Those are those top 2 areas. You got to be within 10 grams on protein. So this guy's target is 259. That's awfully high. And under on calories, but not too under. So he's got 74 calories to spare here. That's about how we do it up. I didn't give him fiber and sugar targets, so it's wrongly in the red there. And his fat is over. But see, that's how you can do it. If you cut your carbs, increase your fat, you still stay under your calories, you're okay, right? That's sort of the point I made in the last slide. Good fun. So again, I gave you this macro cheat sheet when you signed up. And that just gives you more options. So if you're down to the wire, you've got 40 grams of protein left and nothing else, then that top left-hand column in red is where you would pick a choice off of there, because those are largely just protein: shrimp, chicken, turkey breast, the boring stuff that fills the gaps. If you've got some carbs and protein left over, then that middle bottom column has some options. So this is just a quick cheat sheet you can throw on your phone. If you're tracking appropriately, then you can pull up this in a pinch, right? And you won't have to track forever. That's really the goal for you, is to get into kind of a lifestyle mode where it's less painful tracking, more lifestyle choices, and more on autopilot. Doesn't typically work in the first few months though. All right, pillar 3, strength train. Okay, we got some new participants. Terry is on. Welcome, Terry. Ron and Peggy's iPhone is on. It's funny the names that this thing gives it. If you can hear me properly, just the new people, just hit the chat box and say, hey. All right, so strength training, lift weights with the goal of getting stronger. And you can get stronger as you lose fat, especially if you're fairly new to weight training. You can actually get kind of a supercompensation effect and really see some quick results. If you're more advanced, you've been at this a while, then typically it'll be just about maintaining muscle, right? Gotta mute someone's phone here. Sean is unmuted. All right, we're good. All right, next up is an explanation of why you strength train on a diet. Because people say, well, why bother, right? If that isn't helping me lose fat, why am I doing it? Well, it's to preserve muscle and, to a lesser extent, burn body fat preferentially, and I'll show you why. So there was a study done where 20 people were put on a very low-calorie diet. I would not suggest that. 800 days, or 800 calories a day of simply protein shakes, I think. And split them into two groups. One did cardio plus that diet. The other group did weight training plus the diet and did no cardio. Both groups lost a sufficient amount of weight, but the cardio group lost 9 pounds of muscle over that process. And the weight training group gained 2 pounds of lean mass. So the net positive was a lot more positive in the group that strength trained first and foremost. So what it does mean is you just need to do a bit of strength training, even if it's at home, because it's going to help you preserve that metabolism, improve body composition. Even if the scale moves a little differently, the end result is better. Okay? Phone keeps hiding on you. All right. Next up, pillar 3 is the sleep and stress factor. And there was a great book. I'm blanking on the name of it. Why We Sleep, I believe. And this very good-looking gentleman with his blonde streaks, looks like a surfer. It's because he sleeps well, probably. He wrote the book, and he said the issue with a lack of sleep is typically this really weird hormonal response where your body goes to a bit of a stress out and increases ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes you hungry, and reduces leptin, which is what tells you to kind of stop eating. So your appetite goes haywire in the absence of sleep, essentially. It's not just about feeling grumpy, you actually get more hungry. And that can be problematic on a diet for obvious reasons. So please make sure after this session is over, you unplug and go to bed, right? Simple in theory, easier said than done. All right. And that last piece, the last pillar at the top of the pyramid is your non-exercise activity, a bit of cardio, but just to be more active. Play a sport if you want, just move more, because there's so much part in the day, apart from when you're in the gym, where you're just not moving. So we need to get you moving more, because I promise you this stuff adds up. It could be multiple thousands of calories over the course of a week. And it also means you don't have to push the diet so far when you're more active. And the last thing I want to do is cut your calories more, right? We don't want to do that. All right. Very good. I will mute you. Good. All right, and what really ties all this together is you know what to do, but do you do it consistently? And most of us just fall short when we lack that missing ingredient. You saw the massive pillar video that I put on Instagram. What ties it all together, ties the balls of all this stuff together, is accountability. Having a coach, having a workout buddy, someone who's going to stick to your guns, help you stick to your guns and see it through. Because it's one thing to start a diet, go on it hard for 2 weeks. It's another thing to actually, see it through long enough to get real results. Because fat loss, the right way, takes time. You can only lose so much fat per week. Weight loss, you could starve yourself, cut water, and lose 5 pounds, 6 pounds on the scale overnight. But that's obviously not the kind of weight loss you want, right? Or you wouldn't have came into this program. So this is what accountability does. All right, so I threw this dog sticking in the dog's butt, I guess. I couldn't quite tell what it was, but it was a distraction. Just to kind of break the anatomy of this, because we're going to wrap up now. Pretty soon here, we'll get into Q&A. I just want to give you those fat loss strategies that I promised you going into the spring, summer here that you can sort of use to expedite the process without, going too far over the edge that you just cost yourself in the end. So this is the fun stuff. Advanced fat loss strategy. I probably should have went through the slideshow once before I actually read it for all of you because I forget what's coming. So the program, the workouts that you have in your plan right now will have a lot of this by default. This is that one where there's some evidence you can spot target belly fat or lower back fat by increasing blood flow to that area and then going right into cardio conditioning exercise. So planks for that blood flow, battle ropes to burn it off. Crunches, squats or squat jumps, kettlebell swings and crunches again, that kind of thing. Is it going to make a world of difference if you're not eating sufficiently? No, but it's that other 2% that's going to give you that little edge that if you're a little bit plateaued, this may help. All right. Number 2 is an empty plate, the Autobahn fast. So if you struggle with adherence on weekends, I often recommend this to clients Monday morning or from dinner Sunday to Monday dinner. You're picking that 124-hour cycle where you're not eating, period. It's a fairly extreme method. Some people can handle it better than others. I wouldn't make a blanket recommendation and say, yes, this is for everybody. But if you find you have too much fun on weekends, this can kind of wash out those indiscretions or at least break even. And it has merit for those who are, time sensitive with their goals, want to get beach ready in 3 weeks. This can expedite the process a bit. Okay. You can add even more of a turbocharge to this by doing moderate cardio. Do not do anything too intense. Certainly don't strength train in the middle of a fast, or you're likely going to lose muscle or cramp up or potentially put yourself at injury risk because you're dehydrated. But, walking, getting on a bike for 30 minutes only supports a little additional fat loss during the fasting period. If you're impatient, this can work. All right. Okay. Can't see the chat. Okay, good. All right. So next up, protein shake before or after meals. So this is something I use when I'm in that evening cravings. I don't have a lot of calories to work with. Before my dinner, I'll mix up a really thick shake, lots of ice, a little bit of almond milk or whatever. And, you've got a liter of liquid there. You fill up on that, less likely to, overeat at dinner is the theory there. It may work even better for some after dinner. If you're kind of looking through the pantry, scrounging, you do this, you may still slip up a bit, but protein's filling, right? And it has the added benefit of helping you hit your protein target. So it's a win-win all around. A little hack here for you that makes a bit of difference. Some people will find it more beneficial than others. Okay, so number 5, this is something I used to do where I would order skip the dishes, but until that delivery guy got to the door, I'd have to work out. It really forced my hand to do 35, 40-minute workout in the basement. And I kind of earn those carbs, so to speak. A little bit OCD. Obviously, you can't really, make that work all the time. You got family to consider. But at the very least, before you go out, before you shower and get ready, 10 minutes, a little circuit. I've got lots of those I can give you. Maybe 10 minutes on the bike, whatever it is. Do something that's going to get your mind right about fitness. Okay, I don't want to, overeat now and screw up all the effort I put into it. That's sort of the trigger you want. And, you burn a few calories. So worth considering if you're going out and you're going to make less than ideal choice. This kind of buffers you a little bit. All right. So this is a very sad graphic because low carb days are something where you don't go to the gym, you cut your carbs in half, under 100 grams for most people. Sort of keto style, but without shooting your fat calories to the roof. You keep your fat controlled. And these can really expedite the process. Some of you are already on these kind of things because we needed them. But something to consider for everybody. If you find you're not seeing much progress from 1 week to the next, maybe you're overshooting your calories a few days a week. So doing 2 days like this can get you back into a good deficit, losing weight again. All right. All right, I think I've talked long enough. So what this looks like, again, is making sure you focus on the basics. The basics are where the battle's won and lost, but you can be awesome by sprinkling in a few of these advanced fat loss strategies I spoke about at the end here. And again, if you know anyone that needs my help, March intake. I had a lot of people join. And they didn't show up to the training, but I do have a couple spots yet before I go to Mexico. If you got a friend in need, or maybe you're the friend in need, then you can message me, all right? Okay, so I want to get to the chat box if I can. If you have a question, you throw it in there, all right? And I will try to address it if I can find it. So I'm going to stop sharing this now. Okay, good. So someone says oh, he's trolling me. Oh, Kenny is on Ron and Peggy's iPhone. I gotcha. Okay. So if you have a question, you don't have to send it privately like most of you are doing. You can send it to everyone and hit it up in the chat box. So anything about what we spoke about today, go off the board as well. If it's a diet-related question, I'd love to hear it now. Obviously, we're going to address it in private as well. I won't name the person who asked the question because you may be sensitive about whatever it is. All right, so I'm chubby. What should I do? That's clearly a joke from a person to be named later. Well, pretty much everything that was in the presentation tonight would help you with that. So that would be a place to start. I'm being trolled on my own webcast here. All right, good. Someone asked, suggestions to hit protein at the end of the day, something quick and easy. I don't know if you're a real protein shake fan, but that strategy I spoke about tonight where you just make a big, thick shake, that satisfies a craving for me. Maybe put a little bit of a banana in there if you have the calories for it. Lots of ice. Blend that up. Just the act of drinking a cold shake can fill you up pretty good. Other options are really acquired taste, right? Cottage cheese is a good one. It's a slow digesting protein. So that, but some people will say they absolutely hate it. And Terry makes a great comment. Greek yogurt and hemp seeds helps her meet her protein at the end of the day. So you may want to try that one. Pro-Yo is the recipe I give to a lot of you guys when you join, which I've kind of gotten sick of, but it's where Greek yogurt mixed with protein powder, mix it up really good. And it kind of has this flavored yogurt feel to it. Okay. What else? Off the top of my head, I'm blanking on that, but those three, you could have like a standard meal, you know, chicken breast and that, but not anyone is going to love. Yeah, without upping fat or carbs, well, certainly the protein powder has next to none of that. Premier protein shakes, very low. You're going to have 3, 4, 5 grams of fat and carbs in that, which is pretty negligible. So one of those would be okay. If you go back to the macro cheat sheet I gave you in one of the first emails that's in the group, that has that top left-hand column. That's protein only stuff, right? So that's perfect to pull something from there at the end of the day when you're out of fat and carbs, but you're still low in protein. Again, it's most of the stuff you know, what you don't really love. You know, a shrimp ring might work if you got one of those handy. The shrimp is basically protein. So Jeremy asked, non-miserable sources of easy protein. Oh, this is a common theme tonight. Well, what is your definition of miserable? I guess would be the first question. Because to get what you don't have, you've got to do stuff you don't want to do necessarily. And that means eating less than pleasurable food sometimes. So I know you're a big fan of cottage cheese. All right. Okay, what's a good protein powder? Kenny asked. Honestly, there's good and bad ones out there, but if you have a Costco near you, Kaizen is the brand I typically tell people to get. I have a relationship with Optimum Nutrition where they send me free stuff and I'm supposed to push clients their way, but honestly, Yes, they are good. They have all the lab testing, and they're a legitimate company where a lot of these fly-by-night ones aren't. But you can't go wrong with Kaizen. They're also made in Winnipeg, so good to them. Although I don't know why they don't support me. All right. Okay. We're over 30 minutes here. Yeah, so Kenny, support the Winnipeg protein powder. There you go. Even though you're out in Alberta, they're still Canadian. That counts. Okay. So if there's any other questions, oh, well, we got one more. What's your take on the whole need for higher fat and lower carb trend? I think it's a bit overblown. What people on keto seem to forget is that they're eliminating all the fun carbs they used to eat. So by default, they're in a calorie deficit now. That's what's driving the weight loss. There's no real magic insulin fairy or scientific benefit to eating a bunch of fat and protein. But by cutting carbs, they typically lose weight on the scale because you're storing less water initially. So there's that validation of losing quicker with keto. But also they're in a calorie deficit over time simply because they're eating less food. They've eliminated an entire food group. Risk with keto, especially if you're training hard, you're gonna feel like crap over time and you're not gonna build any appreciable strength or muscle. Carbs fuel performance in the gym, and you're really cutting yourself short by eliminating them entirely. Most people who go keto actually aren't. They're low carb and then they cheat on weekends. So yeah, I think I kind of answered that question. I'm not a big fan. I personally did try it like way before it was cool, 12 years ago, and my bowel movements were very irregular. So TMI to that. You have to eat some veggies with it, I think. I would highly suggest that. All right. Okay, so I think my capacity for time is done. Thanks for the 12 of you who joined tonight. No one bailed early that I know of, so that's a good thing. If you have any further questions, respond to the email. I'm going to send a replay of this in case you missed a few things, and I'm going to scold the brand new clients who no-showed the training video that they should be watching. All you dedicated old timers are the ones who are getting the best results. This makes sense, going through the list. Anyway. All right, so no other questions. I'm just going to keep talking to myself. I should have unmuted you, some of you, to actually ask your questions, just so I could get a little break here. All right, 12 seconds. 10 seconds. Anyone else? No pressure. Yeah. Is beer a good carb? Really? Because your name is anonymous, I'm going to guess that, wow, you're not a client. But beer in moderation is fine. Alcohol as a staple in your diet is going to lead to less than ideal results. Because, well, I've emailed on this. I don't want to go too far into the details of it. But when you drink alcohol, your body has to prioritize that to digest. So anything you eat in that window of time with alcohol in your system, more likely to get stored as fat. I mean, that's a very simplified way of putting it. But the other issue is your sleep quality goes down if you get a little bit hungover, you make bad choices the next day. Typically, when you drink, you also forget what you eat. And so you overeat and you get cravings for stuff. So if you could drink and not eat anything, sure, you'd be okay probably. But most people can't do that. All right. All right. We'll end it on that beer question. Thank you for everyone who joined. I appreciate it. If you have questions, of course, reach out individually. That's cool too. I'm gonna shut her down now and stop the recording. So thanks again, guys.